Hello guys, welcome to today's video. Today we have a fun little alocasia project that we are going to do together. So if you saw my last alocasia video, I had been struggling to come up with an idea for growing out my alocasia once I moved them from my prop box. So I did come up with this in my last video where I just labeled the corms on a piece of masking tape and then put them in 2 rows. That way I could have a better idea on what was growing. And that seems to work for starting my corms. I still like to start them in this perlite stratum mix. So the reason I use stratum is because it is slightly acidic, which alocasia do prefer a slightly more acidic pH. So this fluval stratum I have over here is volcanic soil, and it is very high in nutrients that help encourage healthy growth in your plants. So this is great for starting propagations, and I have found that my alocasia do really well in this. So an 8-pound bag of this fluval stratum runs around $30. So it is a little pricey. So what I have done is I mix this with a little bit of perlite. So as you can see here, I just mix that stratum with a little bit of perlite, and this just helps extend that stratum a little bit further. That way I can save a little bit of money. So that is the little mix I have, and I just mix it up in this little container. And this is just a scoop I recycled. So I just put that in there. That way I have just a little scoop to scoop this into my containers. So here is a look at that container with the corms. Most of these are sprouting really well. I do like to move them out once they have a pretty good size sprout where I feel like they're kind of outgrowing the container or their root system seems a little large. But most of the time I wait until they get at least 1 leaf. But if you see green in these containers, that is actually algae growth. And algae grows in this because the containers allow light to get in. So another reason you might have algae growth is because you are not airing out the container. So proper airflow can help prevent algae growth as well. You could use a fan, or if you're using a container like this, I recommend just taking the lid off every day. I usually check on these every day, so I do take the lid off. You could also put holes in the top of the lid or somewhere along the container, and that should help prevent that as well. But as far as the algae harming plants, it should be okay. I have heard that people have success with sprinkling cinnamon into their substrate, and that can help prevent algae growth as well. I have not personally tried it, but I have heard people having success with that. So yeah, I think that starting the corms in this little bin has been really helpful, especially since I have so many. It just becomes a little challenging to prop them up individually like this. Growing them out this way is a little bit easier, even though I do lose out on the ability to label them and kind of have to wait until they sprout until I know for sure what they are. So today what we are going to do is we are going to move out all these little babies. I'm a little behind on this because I was waiting on all these supplies to come in this past week so I could do this project with you. But I'm just going to move all these corms that have sprouted leaves into a little container like this. So I'm going to show you guys how I make these little containers, and I will be sure to link all the supplies I used today down in the description for you guys. So these little containers were actually inspired from another YouTuber. Her name is, I think her channel name is Taz Plants. So if you haven't checked her out, I highly recommend checking out some of her videos. She grows a lot of alocasia and has a lot of helpful tips. So let me go ahead and show you guys all the supplies I use to make these little containers. So let's go ahead and get started. So let me go ahead and show you guys why I decided to move the corms from the stratum perlite mix into these little containers. You might have saw that when my alocasias have a leaf, I go ahead and move them into sphagnum moss. And this has been working really well for me. I haven't really had too much trouble with that method, but lately my Alocasia ninja corms had been rotting and didn't seem like they were responding as well to the sphagnum moss. If you see here, a lot of them were coming in and kind of rotting off. So I don't know what the issue was. Look at this leaf though. This is from my sport variegated Alocasia ninja, and this actually looks like it has some variegation on here. So super excited to see what this one ends up looking like. So because these corms seem to have been struggling, I wanted to come up with another method for growing them out. So because I have so much success growing the corms out in stratum and perlite, I decided that I wanted to finish growing them out that way as well once I transfer them. So that is why I came up with this little method. And again, this is inspired by Taz Plants. But yeah, I saw that she had these little containers that she was using. So I kind of looked up and found something similar on Amazon that I could do myself. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the supplies I use to make this. And we're going to go ahead and prop these up into these little containers today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be using is these little net baskets. So this is the smallest size that I could find. So these are the 2-inch. So these net pots also came with some string. So this is like a very soft cotton string. Also came with these little mini tags, which I think are going to be super helpful for me labeling my plants. Like I did for this one, I just put that little tag in there, and that way I know exactly what the Alocasia is and I don't get them mixed up. But yeah, I thought this was a great find, and I will put the link in the description for you guys for these specific net pots that come with the little extras. The second thing I bought were these tall shot glasses. So I think they were actually called dessert cups, but they are like a taller shot glass. They're a little bit wider at the top, which I found was perfect for fitting in the little net pot. These were the best size I could find. They do kind of have a little bit of overhang at the top. So they're not a perfect fit. They do hang out just a little at the top, but all the slots and everything are covered. So they're a perfect fit for this little shot glass. So let me go ahead and walk you through my process for making these. So I'm going to grab one of these little cups, one of our little net pots. My string is a little bunched up here. So you just want to cut the string so it's long enough to touch the bottom of the little shot glass. So I don't want it too long, but I do want it long enough to reach the bottom. So I'll just cut it about right there. And the string that the cups come with, they do fray a little on the ends. So if you'd like, you could just go ahead and take a lighter and kind of just seal the ends of the string. That way they don't fray. So you're just going to take your little string and kind of thread it through the bottom. Just like that. So you have two ends dangling, and then you're just going to place that inside. And as you can see, that string is a little long. I could also cut it a little bit shorter if I didn't want much of the string in there, but as long as it reaches the bottom, that is how it's going to take up water when it needs it. I have found that stratum dries out really quickly, so you do want to make sure that this is always full of water. That way it does not dry out. If the substrate dries out, you could risk losing the corm. Now let's go ahead and add some stratum to this. So I'm just going to use my little scoop and just add a scoop or two to the bottom, leaving enough room for that corm to fit in. And because I am dealing with alocasia corms, they've been known to cause skin irritation. I am sensitive to alocasia corms. I usually will break out in a rash if I touch alocasia corms without protection. So I am going to wear gloves today as I handle these corms. Also use a pair of of tweezers or something to get these out as well if you didn't want to touch them with your hands. But let's go ahead and grab the first one here. Not sure exactly what this one is. It kind of looks like a pink dragon, which I did have a mother plant that produced a lot of pink dragon corms, so that might be what it is. But it does look like it has a good amount of roots on it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of line these roots up a bit and place it in there. And then fill the rest up with a little bit of a stratum. It is a little messy, so make sure you could lay a potty mat down or something if you didn't want this to get everywhere. I like to just pour out any that falls through there. So let me go grab my watering can and we'll give this one a water. All right, guys, so I went ahead and grabbed my watering can and we're just going to go ahead and give this a water. So I'm just going to give it a water, and then all the water that goes into the bottom, I'm just going to leave in there. That way it can take it up when it needs it. So there is the first alocasia we're going to do today. All right, guys, so I went ahead and made a few more of these up off camera. So I went ahead and made 6 more. Put my gloves on. And I'm just going to start by taking out some of the bigger ones that really need to come out. So this one right here is an Alocasia zebrina. It has those really pretty stripy stems. So super cute Alocasia. I have a pretty large size plant of this Alocasia. Absolutely love it. Such a gorgeous Alocasia. So let's go ahead and grab our first container. Add our mix, and again, it is normal if it does pour out to the bottom. The slots are a little wide, but once it's watered down and compacted, it should stay in there a little bit better. But the first time you add it, you will notice that it will go through a little bit. So what I like to do is just empty out the excess that falls into the container as I go. So let's go ahead and add some more. Kind of tuck those roots down in there as best I can and make sure they're all covered. Add just a little bit more. Then I'm just going to go ahead and give it a water. And there is that one. Out in Alocasia aslanii. This is actually one of the best-selling alocasias in my shop. I'm just going to go ahead and tuck him in there. These roots are a little small, so it's hard to get all the roots in there, especially wearing gloves. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to do my best here to make sure all of these little roots are covered. And give it a water. And there you go. And the water down at the bottom will be a little dark from that stratum, so totally normal. So I'm going to go ahead and speed things up here as I prop up the rest of the alocasia in here. It looks like most of them today are aslanii, so I'm going to go ahead and speed it up, and I will pop back on here in just a few minutes. Alright guys, so I went ahead and propped up a lot of these Alocasia corms today. So these are all ready to go back into the cabinet. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I bought to help hold these. That way I can get them in and out of the cabinet easy. So let me go ahead and show you guys that real quick. This is for parties and stuff like that. You can get this on Amazon, and I will link this in the description for you guys. So this one will hold 24 cups. So I'm just going to go ahead and place these into this little holder here. And as I mentioned, you can get this on Amazon. It's super easy to put together. It just comes with these little screws that you place in between the top and the bottom here. So yeah, I think this is going to work out perfectly. So I will link this in the description for you guys, but let's go ahead and place our little pots in here. Here it is. I think this is going to work perfectly. This can get a little heavy. So for the most part, I'm going to just keep this in my IKEA Rudstead cabinet. That is where I keep a lot of my propagations at the moment. So I shouldn't have to get this out too often. Just once these cups get low in water, I will take them out and water them. But I will keep you guys updated on the progress of these, and also let you know if my little ninja babies grow better in the stratum perlite mix versus the sphagnum moss that I was growing them in. So yeah, I kind of like this method a little better. Let me know what you think of this method. Go ahead and flip you guys around, and we will get a final look at our cabinet and all the propagations we have in here. Okay, so here is a look at the new setup. I'm super happy with it. I've had this for a couple weeks now, and it has saved me a lot of time as far as watering. I have a lot of alocasias down here that are in moss, and these dry out super quickly. So I have been really loving this stratum perlite mix. This right here is my variegated dragon scale baby. He put out an all white leaf, so I'm hoping that one ends up putting out a little bit more variegation on its next leaf. I also have this platinum bisma back here. I love the color on this one. That is an Aslanii right there. Another platinum bisma, another Aslanii. I think this one is a Zabrina, ninja, another ninja, and a black velvet. This little ninja baby back here is my favorite. It came in with a super light leaf with a little bit of sport variegation on it, so I'm so excited to watch that one size up. But yeah, a lot of these are available in my shop if you are interested. I'm probably going to end up closing my shop here in a couple weeks, so I'm going to be getting too cold to ship. I do have heat packs available if you are in an area that is experiencing a little bit cooler weather. But I have a lot of these alocasias down here as well. A few of these are also listed in my shop. I really love this ninja. But so many alocasias. I'm probably going to have to do a Facebook purge on our local Facebook group this week, because I just have a lot of plants left over from the shop. So lots of cute little babies here that hopefully can find a new home. I also wanted to show you guys really quick this really gorgeous variegated Frydek that my husband ended up surprising me with. If you follow me on Patreon, you probably already saw this one. But yeah, he surprised me with this one, and I was so happy because my little Frydek back here that I got from the Green Escape, I've had it for like a year now, and it just never has done well. And it's probably not going to end up making it, but I'm so happy to finally have a beautiful variegated Frydek in my collection. I think he ended up getting this one from Rare Foliage. That is also where I got my pink black velvet. This one hasn't put out a new leaf since I got it. It kind of looks like it might be working on a new leaf, but super excited for this one to get a new leaf. So hopefully it happens soon. But yeah, guys, there is a look at the little Alocasia setup. If you aren't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next one.